Untitled. Welcome back to Collection Cutdown. Today's video is on The Adventures of Robin Hood, starring Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. As of filming, Olivia de Havilland is still alive, and this movie was released in 1938. She has been around for a very long time, and she's one of the last remaining stars of this golden era. We haven't really covered this yet on Collection Cutdown, but I'm actually a big fan of adventure films. And I think this is because it's like that intersection of action that doesn't take itself too seriously that I like so much. Because I feel like adventure films differentiate themselves by like a real sense of fun. And, you know, you really get the sense that they're not taking themselves too seriously. Sometimes they're a bit, you know, they're funny. I actually really like adventure films, and the Robin Hood story is kind of the classic version of that, or you know, one of them. I will admit that if something is billed as a Robin Hood adaptation or retelling, like, I'm totally there. I enjoy the story. I like the idea of the guy thieving from the rich to give to the poor. I tend to like, you know, Maid Marian and everything that entails. And it's really just, it tends to be a story I enjoy. I also enjoy gender-flipped versions where it's female Robin Hood, which has been done a couple of times. Now, obviously, I know the story of Robin Hood very well, so I can't really say that I remember a lot of specifics from this adaptation. I remember the Technicolor. I remember, you know, there's Claude Rains and Basil Rathbone are both in it, and I think they both give good performances. Obviously, Errol Flynn is like the classic adventure hero. He does a lot of these films. I have a few of them we will talk about, you know, one day. I do remember parts of it, but it has been a long time since I've seen this film, and I think I, you know, am not remembering specifics. I'm just like implanting what I know onto the story of Robin Hood, which I know very well. This was one of the first ever colour films from memory. I think 1939, the year after this, was when it sort of hit the mainstream, because that's when Wizard of Oz came out. But this was, you know, really quite a progressive film for its time in that sense, like technically. I hope that means that it holds up. I am hoping that it's really good fun, lots of adventure, some action, some romance, but mostly just the sense of fun, and I think Robin Hood really epitomizes that. I think he enjoys what he does. I'm looking forward to this, and I will see you all on the other side. Everyone knows the story of Robin Hood, right? Robs from the rich, gives to the poor. I don't need to describe that to you. I was hoping for some fun adventure, and this film delivered. It really is a classic. I think my favourite thing about this film is Errol Flynn's performance as Robin Hood, and really just the character himself, because so many people insult him through this film. Prince John, Guy Gisborne, Maid Marian, and he doesn't react to anything. He's very, like, cool, calm, collected. Nothing bothers him. He's always ready with a funny answer. The famous line, which is definitely my favourite line in the film, when she's like, "You speak treason," and he's like, "Fluently." Really, he goes through the whole film with that same kind of attitude, where even if he's in the middle of a fight scene, the only time you really feel like maybe he's a bit pressed is the fight scene right at the end between him and Sir Guy Gisborne, played by Basil Rathbone. Then you finally start to see some sweat and worry, because he's like, oh, this guy's good. But until that point, he's really just so cool, and you can see that being an archetype of heroes to come. Olivia de Havilland is absolutely beautiful, and I like that they gave her a character arc in the film. Maid Marian starts the film as kind of this prissy Norman lady who doesn't really think about the plight of the peasants or anything. I like that she was shown the light, and, you know, Robin really made an effort to show her what life is like under Prince John, and how she can change that. To the point where later in the film she actually, you know, makes a difficult decision and says, I'm not going to go into the forest with you, Robin. No matter how much I love you, I can do more good here. And it's quite a noble sacrifice for a woman who started the film like very anti-peasant. I actually really enjoyed that. I liked that they treated her character seriously and did give her that arc. I mentioned Basil Rathbone. He's great. Him and Claude Rains work really well together as the villains. The two of them chewed the scenery a little bit, but you kind of need that in a film like this. In classic films, like, overacting is a common thing. They weren't really into the method acting thing, but I kind of like that. I like that it's a bit stagey and exaggerated. Particularly for a film like this, I think it really works for that sort of adventure and the sort of vibe they're going, you know, not taking themselves too seriously. The Technicolor looked great. I don't know if it was like this DVD or if the film had been restored previously, but they've done a good job to really make it look beautiful. The colour really pops. I also really liked that, you know, Maid Marian had a part in Robin's rescue at one point, so he's gonna be hanged, and she is the one who kind of comes up with the plan, as far as I can tell. It was really nice that even in 1938 they were giving their female characters something to do, and, you know, not only character development, but agency and affecting the plot. I really appreciate it when that happens. These two, Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland, actually work together quite a lot. I think they did 8 films together. I have at least 1 or 2 in there. And their chemistry was good. They work really well together. I think this was movie 3 of 8, so they were already building that rapport. I'm not really sure what else to say about this film. I mean, it was good. I was entertained. It's a classic for a reason, and it was exactly the kind of fun adventure stuff I like. The decision for me is I don't really watch as many classic films as I used to. It's not that I lost interest. I'm not really sure why I stopped. I think I just got more and more in the mood for other more modern genres like action movies and more modern rom-coms with more modern sensibilities. That I kind of forget that classic films can be loads of fun on their own as well. Rewatching some of these has been really nice for me to revisit that and really kind of get back in touch with why I started loving these films in the first place. And I think that this is a really good one that kind of, you know, shows everything that a classic film can be. I think it's very accessible for a modern audience. Lots of fun. The dialogue is good. It's a familiar story, but, you know, told in, it's even told in ways that are familiar. Scenes in this that even like Robin Hood, Men in Tights parodies. So it is very much considered like a definitive version of the story. So my decision is, am I going to be rewatching these classics more now that I'm rediscovering them? And I really don't know. Maybe I'll come back into a cycle where I really do want to see the classics again and more of the classics that I missed when I was first watching them. Do I want to keep this on my shelf? And I think the answer is yes. I really do think that this is one of the best adaptations of the story. I think a lot of the modern ones take it in directions that you don't necessarily want them to go. Like they try and make it darker or more realistic or, you know, better, I guess. And it hasn't really worked. I actually quite like the Russell Crowe one, but I know everyone else hates it. So, you know, we'll get to that one eventually. So I think that this is one that I want to keep. I do like adventure films, and I can see myself watching this again if I want some adventure with a bit of romance, particularly because, you know, nothing in it was gravely offensive, which I think is probably what's going to stop me on some of these classic films. Even Adam's Rib, which I watched last time, there was elements to that I was kind of uncomfortable and wasn't sure how to interpret them. So, you know, particularly with the gender dynamics. And I didn't really get that vibe from this. Like, you know, Maid Marian, while pretty much the only female character that she has her, you know, maid woman companion who actually does some stuff in the film too. And they were really the only 2 women in the film. But, you know, they were portrayed quite well, and there wasn't anything there that I could complain about. And that's enough, I think, for me to say, like, yeah, this is a really fun adventure movie and I'd be happy to watch it again. This one is going to be a keeper. The next movie that we will be covering is going to be Aeon Flux. And I know that this is a much reviled film, and I am fascinated to see what I think of this a second time round, many years later. I hope you'll all join me for that next time. And in the meantime, if you would like to like or comment on these videos, please do. I love interacting with people about films. If you've been enjoying my videos, please consider subscribing, because then you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. So bye for now, and happy watching!